Hello class, Dr. Dan here. Welcome to another desktop lecture. This week we're going to learn about Robert Noyce, who is probably the most famous person you've never heard of. And Robert Noyce is incredibly influential because he's really the inventor of the integrated circuit. And when you think about personal computers, when you think about your cell phones, when you think about Kindles, when you think about anything that is a modern electronic device, Robert Noyce and the integrated circuit certainly plays a role in it. So just to kind of give you a quick history, we've already learned about RCA. RCA's big thing was the vacuum tube, and if you recall that story, that reading, one of the reasons RCA failed is because they never really transitioned out of the vacuum tube into the transistor. So really the way the technology runs is the vacuum tube was really the first electronic device that was able to introduce logic into devices. The first televisions, of course, were all vacuum tubes. The first radios were all vacuum tube designs. And then the transistor came around in the early 1960s. You saw the transistor radio. You saw that electronics were getting smaller. What Noyce did, Noyce invented the integrated circuit, and the reading talks about this idea of discrete devices. In other words, in early electronics, there would have to be a number of different vacuum tubes that would do different things, and a number of different resistors and transistors that would do different things. And even when the transistor came along, it was just a smaller version of the vacuum tube. So different processes in electronics had to be handled by different devices. One of the things that the integrated circuit did was it combined those different functions into one component. And the cool thing about the integrated circuit is that it's basically a piece of silicon that's printed with circuits, so it was easy to manufacture. And without the integrated circuit, there'd be no computer industry, there'd be no cell phones. The logic behind all of the switching that goes on in those devices happens in an integrated circuit. So Robert Noyce, being the founder of the integrated circuit, is one of the most famous people that you've never heard of. And I think that the documentary called The Podfather, which lasts about an hour, is something that you should be interested in and you need to watch. The other thing that Noyce is famous for is this idea of kind of leveling out the workplace, the egalitarian workplace, where the modern workplace, nobody has a special parking space, nobody has a big office, that everyone's equal. Everyone is able to speak up, is able to make a suggestion as far as how things should be done and how manufacturing should be done. So one of the things I like about the Noyce story is not only the fact that he's the inventor of the integrated circuit, but he's also the founder of this new style business where everyone's kind of created or everyone's kind of treated equal. And he's also really the founder of Silicon Valley. If you follow the story, you know that he started with Fairchild Semiconductor, and then he, with a number of other very famous people like Andy Grove, who's on the documentary, they begin Intel. So there's a direct link from Intel backwards to Robert Noyce, and also it connects to that history of RCA and the vacuum tube, because you can see the progression from the vacuum tube to the transistor, to the integrated circuit. And the really cool thing at the end is you learn about Noyce's connection with Steve Jobs from Apple Computer, who we're going to learn about next week, and also to Bill Gates from Microsoft, who you already know about. So there's a direct lineage in Silicon Valley, and it's all connected through Robert Noyce. So I hope you enjoy the documentary, The Podfather. It's important for us to learn about him, and I think you'll be interested in the story, because everything you're using right now, Robert Noyce had a hand in. So that's it for now. I hope you have a great week. Be safe. Take care.